so Ethiopia is a beautiful country with a rich culture, vast landscape, and extravagant cuisines. However, it is also home to the hottest destination in the world. Hi, I'm Joshua. Go to the next
I'm
slide.
Chrissy.
I'm Colby.
I'm Jaden.
And it's also Marjorie. All right, so we'll be on the second slide or third slide now.
Sorry.
All right. So there are many places you can visit in Ethiopia that you may overlook due to its status as a third world country. Ethiopia has great landmarks, interesting locations, and unique and interesting celebrations. Some of the best places to visit are the Mausoleum of Menelik II, the resting place of the Ethiopian emperor and his family, Lalibela rock churches, which were sculpted from volcanic rock, and the city of Gondor, where they celebrate the biggest and most colorful festival in Ethiopia called Epiphany. Many of us enjoy traveling and would like to travel to interesting new places. Ethiopia is a great place to visit that many may not consider at first. It has kind, welcoming people, many interesting places to visit, and much of its economy relies on tourists. We have all taken great interest in Ethiopia and have spent the last several weeks researching its climate, locations, celebrations, attractions, and culture. Ethiopia is a great place to visit for vacation. So to preview landscape, we're going to talk about landscape and weather, architecture, celebrations, cuisine, and places to stay. So to start off, we're going to talk about landscape and weather. So the overview, I'm going to talk about the different regions. So we got plateau, mountains, arid, semi-arid, and Danakil. And then some of the geographical attractions being Bale Mountains National Park, Awash National Park, Simeon National Park, Danakil Depression, and I will also talk about the best time to visit. So to start off, we have the plateau region. So the weather / climate of that region is usually it's cool, mild, and pleasantly warm. And they usually have scarce rains from November to February, and they have a rain season from June to September. And usually what you should wear in this region is spring to autumn clothes, and that's usually for like winter and summer clothing. Examples would be jacket, sweater, hat, raincoat, and umbrella. And some of the geographical attractions in this region are the Bale Mountains National Park and the Awash National Park. So the first national park, the Bale Mountains National Park, covers over 850 square miles. It houses the most diverse geography on the continent, including towering mountains, scenic valleys, and miles of forest. It also includes the Seneti Plateau, which is the largest plateau on this altitude on the entire continent. It is also one of the best places to spot the Ethiopian wolf. So next, we got the Awash National Park. What's located in it is a dry savanna. It's located in the dry savanna of the Rift Valley. It includes a 500-foot deep gorge, waterfalls, the Filwoha hot springs, and the dormant volcano of Mount Fantali. For animals, it includes over 450 species of birds, including the yellow-throated seren and the Ethiopian cliff swallow. And then other animals, it includes warhogs, black-backed jackals, and East African oryx. All right, so for the next region, we got the mountain regions. The mountains / the locations for those mountains. There are 2 mountains in the semi-arid region, which is Ras Dashen and Abuna Yosef. And Ras Dashen is 14,928 feet tall, and that is the tallest mountain in Ethiopia. And then Abuna Yosef is 13,976 feet. And then in the other region that has mountains is the plateau region, which has the Bale Mountains, and it has Tulu, Dimtu, and Batu. Those 2 mountains are in the Bale Mountains. And Tulu Dimtu is 14,400 feet, and Batu is 14,131 feet. The weather climate of the mountain regions are usually cool, mild, and pleasantly warm near the bottom, but colder as you go higher in altitude. What to wear is usually warm clothes, including a warm jacket, gloves, and scarf. So for the next region, we got the arid and semi-arid regions. The weather and climate of those regions are usually scorching hot in some parts, dry in other parts, and they have rains from July and August. On July and August. What to wear is usually loose-fitting clothes, including light and lawn shirts and pants, desert turban, hiking pants, and sweatshirt. The geographical attraction that's in this region is the Simeon National Park. The Simeon National Park, which also includes a mountain, I forgot about that one, but it does have the Simeon Mountains and area around it. These mountains include Ras Hashem, which is the highest part of the country, which is 15,000 feet tall and 100 miles long. It's home to a diverse ecosystem, including rare animals, the Geleta baboon, Walia ibex, and the Ethiopian wolf. And then we got the Danakil region, and its weather and climate is desert and hot year-round. And geographical attractions are the Danakil Depression and the abandoned settlement of Dalol. And so the Danakil Depression is considered the lowest, hottest, driest place on Earth, and is home to the Erda Ale lava lake, which is one of the 6 lava lakes in the world, and also Dalol, which is a boiling hot spring. So the abandoned settlement of Dalol is the hottest place in the world, like we talked about at the beginning, and usually has a daily temperature of 95 degrees Fahrenheit. Its lows are usually around 86 degrees Fahrenheit, and the highs are usually around 104 degrees Fahrenheit. And it's obviously near the Erda Ale volcano, which its slopes are dark basalt rock, which absorbs sun rays, which also makes this area really hot. And the best time to visit Ethiopia is from November to February, since it's the driest and coolest period of the year almost everywhere. And that quote is from climatestotravel.com. So for the next section, which is celebrations.
So, okay. Now that we've talked about the weather and landscape, we're going to be talking about some of the celebrations in Ethiopia. Because of its status as a third world country, much of Ethiopia's economy revolves around tourism. So they actually encourage people to visit Ethiopia during these times where they would be celebrating. And they also pride themselves on being like kind and courteous to what they might consider outsiders. So they actually enjoy when people that aren't from Ethiopia come to visit them during their holidays. The first holiday I'm going to mention is Gena, or Ethiopian Christmas. Because they use a different calendar in Ethiopia, Gena is celebrated on the 7th of January rather than the 25th of December. It's very common in Ethiopia to fast for 43 days prior to Gena. During fasting, they're forbidden from eating meat, eggs, and dairy, and limit their meals to just one meal a day. The main focus of this holiday is spiritual rather than commercial, so gift giving is not commonplace, and it's more common for them to spend the entire day praying and spending time with family. On Gena, you'll most likely see everyone dressed in white. They wear white as a reminder of tradition, because for centuries before people from other cultures came to Africa, it was common to wear clothes made from 100% cotton with no dyes. So as a reminder of that, they will wear like completely white clothes on Gena. And it is also very common to wear the netela, which is a traditional piece of clothing similar to a scarf. In tradition, this would be the only piece of clothing that would have dye on it. That's another reason they usually wear white or mostly white on Gena. And During Gena, they some fast for up to 43 days. So once the fast is broken, the dinner that they will eat at night on Gena is the Dora Wat, which is a spicy stew that contains meat and vegetables, and many top it with eggs. So it then contains all three of the ingredients that they were forbidden from eating during fasting. And then later in the day on Gena, it's common for children to play a game that's also called Gena, and it's very similar to field hockey. Ethiopians actually believe that the sport of field hockey was inspired by this game called Gena, and that it was created by shepherds who were overjoyed by the birth of Jesus Christ and played the game in celebration. The next holiday I'm going to be speaking about is Epiphany. Epiphany is the celebration of the baptism of Jesus Christ. It's commonly celebrated by the day before the celebration. They will take out a replica of the Ark of the Covenant and 10 Commandments, and then a parish priest will bless a large body of water, such as a river or a swimming pool. And then he will pray and give some form of speech, after which they will rush to be the first person to touch the body of water because they think they'll then be blessed. After this celebration is completed, it's common for every person in attendance to dip themselves backwards into the pool as if they're recreating the baptism of Jesus Christ. Once all of this has been completed, they will all jump in the pool and swim fully clothed, after which they will have a large feast, including singing and dancing. It's noted that the city of Gondor is considered the best place to celebrate Epiphany because they use a real 17th century historical site for celebration. And Epiphany is known as the largest and most colorful celebration in all of Ethiopia. The next holiday is Fasika. Fasika is the Amharic word for Easter. And because they view the resurrection of Jesus as more important than his birth, Fasika will normally be celebrated for an entire week rather than a single day, like Christmas. And like Gena, it is common to fast before Fasika for 40 to 55 days, though most people only fast for one day on the eve of Fasika. And on Easter Sunday, they will normally spend the morning praying, and then later in the day, they'll celebrate by slaughtering a live sheep in the city square where they're celebrating, after which meat will be passed out and they'll have a large feast. So they celebrate Easter on a different day because they use the Gaez calendar rather than the Gregorian calendar like we use in the West. And not Epiphany, I'm sorry. Fasika is not just considered a religious holiday, it's considered a chance to reach out to your neighbors and come closer together as people in Ethiopia. So it's common to go out of your way to invite people of different cultures, different religions, and people who may be visiting from other places to come and celebrate with you as a show of unity. And then the final religious holiday that they celebrate is Meskel. Mescal is still widely celebrated, but is considered to be the least important of the religious holidays, so it is less celebrated than others. Mescal is the celebration of the finding of the true cross that Jesus Christ was crucified on, and they celebrate by setting a large bonfire called the Demura, and after which the Demura will be surrounded by traditional flowers called Addis Ababa, and they will be scattered around the fire as it burns. And then finally, one of the most important non-religious holidays in Ethiopia is Ethiopian New Year. Again, because they use the Gaez calendar, the first of the year is celebrated on what we would consider September 11th. And this is a more family-oriented holiday, so you will see less public celebrating like the other ones. And a common form of celebration is by lighting a wooden torch called a chibo on fire. The Chibo represents the sun coming to end the rainy season in Ethiopia. So the Addis Ababa or the yellow Biden are used for decoration during Ethiopian New Year's, like with mezcal, but these are being more widely seen because they are associated with New Year's rather than the other holiday. And it's associated with New Year's for two reasons, because yellow represents love and hope, and also because early to mid-September is around the time these flowers will begin to bloom. So they become closely associated with the holiday. And the final holiday that is widely celebrated, despite not being important culturally or religiously, is the Great Ethiopian Run. The Great Ethiopian Run is an annual 10-kilometer road run. It takes place in late November in the capital of Ethiopia, that's also called Addis Ababa. The Great Ethiopian Run is one of the biggest non-religious events in Ethiopia, even bigger than Ethiopian New Year. It was made by a British economist in honor of the athlete Haile Gebrselassie. Haile Gebrselassie is considered to be one of the greatest athletes in the history of Ethiopia and is currently the greatest long distance Olympic runner of all time. Every year, more than 40,000 people participate in the run. And outside of the run itself, there's a massive street fair that you can see along the streets of the capital. And this could go up to 3 days after the actual event itself. So aside from the cultural celebrations, we're also going to be talking about the architectural attractions.
I would like to draw your attention to a few architectural attractions that I believe you will want to add to your to-do list. Architecture exists to create the physical environment in which we live and is also part of our culture. It is a representation of how we see ourselves as well as how we see the world around us. Take, for instance, the attractions listed below. The first one is Mausoleum of Menelik II, Label Rock Churches, and Hara Hugil. Each one serves as a reminder of the activity that is structure once held between its walls. Even though some of them may not be used in the same manner, Ethiopians continue to use these structures for other purposes today. The Mausoleum of the Menelik II, it is the resting place of the Ethiopian Empire and his family, but it is now used as a church. Menelik II, who was named after the first, was the empire towards the end of the 19th century and the beginning of the 20th century. His ruling led to many achievements for Ethiopians, such as formal education for both boys and girls, the telephone, and the telegraph. His accomplishments helped to expand Ethiopia's territory and sign friendship treaties with the French, British, and Germans. His as well as his family's remains are located deep below the church. They still provide a place for tourists to visit. The second architectural attraction is the Hara Hugil. The fortified historic town is located on the eastern part of Ethiopia. At one time, its function was a capital of the Harai Kingdom in the 16th century and was the location of a trade route from the 16th to the 19th centuries between the coast and the interior highlands and the location for Islamic learning. However, it is now considered the fourth holiest Muslim city of Islam. Despite being Muslim, residents of Hara pride themselves on welcoming all religions. The city even received the United Nations Education, Scientific, and Cultural Organizations Cities for Peace Prize for their peaceful cohabitation of many ethnic and religious groups. There are many spectacular churches in Ethiopia. However, the country's most famous are the Lalibela churches. They are the best examples of Ethiopia's rock-hewn architectural tradition, with 11 rock-hewn churches that are carved out of soft reddish volcanic rock into the hillside. Rather than being built with stone, they are all connected through a series of carved tunnels. Out of the 11 churches, 6 are in the northern complex, 4 are in the southeastern complex, and finally the 11th church stands alone and is not part of the interconnecting complex. Constructed approximately 800 years ago, they were named after the 12th century king of Ethiopia, King Lemuel, The reason behind the specific way of building is believed to symbolize some sort of spirituality or humanity. The names of these structures seem to mimic the ones of Jerusalem, such as the River Jordan, the Church of Golgotha, and the Tomb of Adam. Today, the churches bring in all types of crowds for religious purposes to worship or hold special ceremonies. Next, we would like to talk about the cuisines.
Hi, I'm going to be talking about the cuisine for Ethiopia. So I'm going to be discussing the common ingredients that they use, injera bread that they use with a lot of different dishes, and how the coffee there is unique and special. So, people traditionally use their hands to eat the dishes in Ethiopia, and going there will expose you to a lot of new flavors. Ethiopian food is widely unique with its ingredients and flavors. Ethiopian food is full of earthy, spicy, and tangy flavors and rich, creamy textures, and is known for being really good. Two common dishes that are often prepared in Ethiopia are tibs and shiro kibi. Tibs is the country's most popular meat dish, and it's often cooked with beef sliced into small chunks and sauteed with onions and garlic, hot pepper, and rosemary and butter or oil. This is on almost all Ethiopian menus and restaurants that you go to, and it's always served with injera, which is a bread. Shio de kibi is a crimson saucy meal cooked with kibi or clarified butter and a flour of mashed split peas and chickpeas. Spices like turmeric and mamita are commonly used spices within Ethiopian dishes, but beer is the most popular spice that they use, and it's in a lot of different dishes. Babir is a spice blend that is used to flavor a variety of meals, especially stews. Allspice, black pepper, cloves, cardamom, fenugreek, ginger, and salt in equal quantities, with a bigger portion of cayenne pepper would be used in a basic dish. While babirs are made with a variety of spices and ingredients around the country, they almost all contain fenugreek and spicy red cayenne pepper. It's sometimes a dry mix, and other times it's a paste using, you can make it into a paste using oil or water. Injera bread is very, very common with any Ethiopian dish that you get will probably come with injera. So injera is a sour fermented flatbread made traditionally of teff wheat with a slightly spongy feel. The recipe for making injera will usually include 1/2 cup of white teff flour, 1/4 cup brown teff flour, 3 tablespoons of white teff flour, 1 cup of water, 3 tablespoons of water, and 1 teaspoon of vegetable oil. Injera is a traditional and Ethiopian dish that dates back thousands of years, which nearly every Ethiopian meal now, like I've stated, includes injera, which is frequently topped with a variety of vegetable and meat dishes, including the stew I talked about earlier. Meat and vegetable stews are scooped up with injera, and injera is also used to line the platter of which the stews are served, soaking up the fluids as the meal goes. The coffee of Ethiopia, Ethiopian coffee, is really unique because Ethiopia is usually credited with being the birthplace of coffee. Ethiopian coffee beans are noted for their distinctive flavors and unique aromas. Farming does not rely on a single growing location, which explains the variety of coffee beans that grows there. Ethiopian coffee is known for its vivid, like fruity and flowery characteristics, and higher acidity, light to medium body, and complex taste nuances are typical of these coffees. The beans are either washed or treated naturally. The flavor purity of these beans is marked by like bright, rich overtones. So Ethiopian coffee ceremonies are a significant component of the country's culture. It entails roasting coffee beans and boiling coffee in a pot similar to the irbrix used in Turkish coffee preparation. So every day coffee is served primarily for the purpose of like socializing with like family or neighbors or like other visitors or whatever. And tea, and like if you like politely refuse to drink that you just don't like coffee or whatever, and you politely refuse it, they'll most likely serve you tea. But like even in restaurants, Ethiopian coffee ceremonies are frequent. After like heavy dinners, in front of the guests, women will roast beans. Then they'll like ground the beans, which will like perfume the room and make it all smell all good, and brew them in a jabina or clay coffee pot. And it's usually served in like small cups, but super good, super rich in flavor. But yeah.
The Savannah Beach Resort is on Lake Lugano. It has a lounge room for adults, an on-site restaurant, and a pool. The Paul Lugano Lodge is an airy rooms in a rustic lakeside lodge with an open-air restaurant plus fish and wildlife tours. And it comes with free laundry service. The Bashangori Lodge is a natural retreat of outstanding beauty that combines 5 unique ecological zones, secluded settings. It is on the eastern side of Lake Lugano. The African Vacation Resort has an incredible aerial view, luxurious beachside restaurant, beautiful night view, and a hotel lobby hallway. And that comes with free parking. Ethiopia is a great place to visit for vacation. We discussed weather and landscape, architectural attractions, celebrations, cuisine, and places to stay. Now that you have learned more about Ethiopia, would you consider visiting it on a future vacation? I'm done.